I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Hi, I'm Luke Ryan for JoBlo.com and welcome to Movie Endings Explained, where we'll be taking a look at some of the more ambiguous and discussed movie endings that have left audiences debating their true meaning long after the credits have rolled. This time we're going to be taking a look at the 2011 film The Grey, directed by Carnahan and starring Liam Neeson. The film was based on a short story entitled Ghost Walker by Ian Mackenzie Jeffers, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Carnahan. The story focuses on a group of oil workers who are left stranded in the Alaskan wilderness when their plane crashes. Neeson plays John Otway, who we see at the beginning of the film killing wolves. The night before he is set to board a plane with the other oil workers from town, he begins to attempt suicide, but hears the call of a wolf out in the woods and has a change of heart. We also see him writing a letter to his wife, explaining his intentions to kill himself, and through flashback images of happier times we get the impression that his wife has left him. Nevertheless, he boards the plane as planned and it crashes. With the few survivors left after the plane went down, John asserts himself in helping anyone that he can and leads the group to survive. His knowledge of wolves comes in fairly useful, as the survivors are faced not only with the harsh conditions of the cold, but a pack of nearby wolves that slowly but surely start picking people off. It's a great survival movie with stunning cinematography and really strong performances, and honestly I think it's one of the better films to really showcase not only the theme of man versus nature, not only the more primal idea of man versus beast, but also humanity's everlasting struggle with mortality. By the finale of the film, John is left completely alone after an arduous and grueling journey, the last man standing. He gathers together the wallets of all the men who have died, carefully collecting them together to somehow preserve some of those men's essence, their lives, in a last-ditch attempt to save the whole incident from having been completely meaningless. Yet, he has wandered into the wolves' den and is slowly surrounded by the pack. As the alpha begins to move forward, John desperately prepares himself not for flight, but to fight. In this moment we get the reveal, as John reflects on his life, the most important pieces of his memory, sitting as a young boy with his father but also lying with his wife as she's dying of an illness. Then we understand that she didn't leave him, but that she passed away. It adds a whole other twist, for lack of a better word, on his mindset throughout the entire film, his desire to end his own life, and in this final scene, his willingness to stay and enter into a battle that will surely result in his death. He also puts his own wallet on top of all of the others, placing a symbol of his life with the souls of the dead, knowing he is about to face his own mortality. He tapes a knife to one hand and a few small bottles to his other, smashing off the ends. He recites a poem that his father had written, loosely inspired by a quote from Shakespeare's Henry V. "Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead." In remembering his father and the poem he had written and framed on the wall, John recalls it aloud as the movie reaches its end.
Once more into the fray, to the last good fight I'll ever know. Live and die on this day. Live and die
It's a gut punch of a finale that seemingly builds up to a climactic fight between John and the Alpha Wolf, but cuts away before we see the action. This initially angered a lot of people. Test audiences balked at the final shot, frustrated that they didn't get to see the fight. Even the trailers of the movie featured this final scene, and in general seemed to be marketing the film as a Liam Neeson fights wolves action movie. Now, while the film ends as the fight seemingly begins, there was a sequence shot that depicted the deadly showdown. Director Joe Carnahan had this to say about the decision to not show the fight between John and the wolf. Listen, I'll put it in the deleted scenes. We did a version where he fights the Alpha, and I just thought the worst thing you could do is get a movie that you feel like, God, this movie really works, and at the very end you blow it because you want to show a guy fighting a wolf. You have to decide for you, is it a movie about a man living and dying, or is it a movie about a man fighting a wolf? Because I think it is incidental, at least in my mind, compared to the great questions that it creates in the end. Indeed, the emotional climax of the movie seems to come from John placing his wallet amongst the others, accepting his fate, and deciding to look death in the face and fight it. Showing that sequence would have been a push too far into the ridiculous, as awesome as Liam Neeson fighting a wolf may sound. As I mentioned, a sequence was shot, and despite Joe Carnahan's word, there was not a deleted scene on the Blu-ray depicting this fight. However, there are shots from the various trailers that show more after the final shot of the film. If we look at some of these, we can see John rushing towards the wolf, on his knees with blood running down his face, the wolf biting him, and a split-second shot of John seeming to stab the wolf. We can even see in this storyboard image that it was planned out for John to stab the wolf also. However, outside of trailer shots that didn't make it into the final film, we also have the post-credits scene. Let's take a look. Now in that scene we hear the breathing of the wolf, but not the breathing of John, though the wolf is in a prone position, so we can kind of imagine that John might have managed to at least take it down. But John appears to be unmoving, perhaps dead, the loser, or perhaps exhausted, the victor. You can really decide for yourself, though this behind the scenes image could sway your decision somewhat if you take a closer look at it. Overall, I think it makes for an incredibly effective ending to the film that leaves me wanting, but not in a bad way. The theme of being forced to face your mortality by fighting and not giving up is presented in a much more powerful way where we leave it. And if that's not satisfying for you, then the post-credits scene at least offers some kind of a resolution. What did you make of the ending of The Grey? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the JoBlo videos channel for more original content like this, and thanks for watching.